Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry, where today we are looking at the Blitz Pass ship for this month. And this ship is none other than HMS Eskimo, a tribal class, you could say destroyer leader. The tribal class was constructed as a sort of response to the large destroyers that the rest of Europe was coming up with, because the British at the time were primarily thinking of potentially the Italians and obviously the Germans as their potential opponents. But the French were building large destroyers, the Italians were building large destroyers, the Germans were sticking 150mm guns on their boats, which did not go well. So the British wanted something sort of to come up with that. And the tribals, we have two of in the game, the other one being the Cossack, were sort of meant to be the answer. Now, these things were a bit more deficient on the torpedoes, but they had a lot of guns, 8 all in all. The Eskimo saw combat in the battles of Narvik, and that was part of the German campaign to, well, really beat the British into occupying Norway. Because everybody had the same idea. Everybody wanted to occupy Norway and make sure that they got control over the coast, especially for export of raw materials out of Sweden. And the Germans just got there first. Unfortunately, they did not properly escort their convoys, and most of their resupply ships got sunk somewhere en route, which left the Germans, while successful in basically overrunning the Norwegians in most cases, somewhat depleted on fuel and ammunition. So during the second battle, I think, of the second battle of Narvik in the icy north, the Eskimo was part of the group that was fighting it out with the remaining German destroyers, and she did manage to get herself torpedoed, which sort of blew off half the ship and put her away for quite a while before she was able to do anything else. In the end, the ship was scrapped after the war, and as such, does not exist anymore, which is always a shame. It would have been interesting to see this. What are the tribals in game? First, we had the Cossack. The Cossack was a bit of a novelty item at the time, because I am not sure if she was the one introducing fuel smokes. She definitely came in before the British destroyers, if I'm not mistaken. I might be misremembering this, but it's all a very long time ago. But she had a lot of smoke screens, the sort of short duration fuel smoke that you get, a lot of guns, but not that many torpedoes. Now let's take a look at the Eskimo and see what the take is on that tribal class today and how she differs from the Cossack. The first thing we notice is that the Eskimo does not get the sonar that we have on the Cossack. In return, she gets an engine boost and a rapid reload, which is very welcome because these are effectively gunboats. She does get a better fuel smoke, however, she has to pay dearly for that because you only get 3 charges of it compared to the 6 charges that you have on the Cossack. Well, why am I saying that she pays for it? You have to understand what fuel smokes are for. Fuel smokes are not for sitting around in and doing things. Fuel smokes are for covering your moves, because these are not fast ships. These are relatively pedestrian destroyers, and as such, if you need to get yourself into trouble and you need to turn around and get yourself out of trouble again, let's say you're sailing towards your target and something Italian comes around the corner and it's a brown alert moment and you need to turn the ship around and get the heck out of there with all the 35 knots that you can muster. That's when you use a fuel smoke, just to cover your turn and make it harder for the enemy to lock onto you and shoot you, which is a bit of a problem if you are only having 3 charges of it, because it severely limits the amount of trouble that you can get yourself into. Yes, Terry, but it's a better fuel smoke. Yeah. Let's have a look. Fuel smoke 1 lasts 9 seconds. Fuel smoke is active for 3 seconds, so each puff is active for 3 seconds, and we get 3 seconds extra. That's neat. But I don't need a longer fuel smoke. I mean, it's not bad to have a longer fuel smoke, but I need more of them, because what you want is a short cooldown short duration smoke to get you out of trouble. Yes, it's nice to have a slightly longer lasting one, but in no way or form does it justify the cutting in half of the amount of charges of it. But let's look at the rest of the stats. These destroyers, despite the fact that they are actually destroyer leaders, are not particularly sturdy. In fact, they have for a destroyer at tier 8 pretty low hit point pool. The Cossack even still slightly better than the Eskimo, so a very vulnerable destroyer. Speed with just under 36 knots base is pedestrian. At least the Eskimo gets an engine boost, and as is traditional for British destroyers, they are pretty maneuverable. The guns is where it is exciting. Now, the Cossack came in with a 6-second base reload, and these 120mm guns are for HE spamming, because you're not going to do an awful lot of damage with the HE shells by themselves. They are for setting fires. And there, the Eskimo definitely gets the buff here, losing 10% of the base reload, but having a rapid reload is good. That sort of compensates for it. And the guns themselves, despite the fact that they're exactly the same guns technically, they are doing more damage, and they have a 4% fire chance and a slightly longer range. Long is still a very, very strange word here. So you don't have the range of something like of something French, or heck, I think even like an Akizuki. We'll look at that in a second. You don't really have the range, but the gimmick has always sort of been the highly maneuverable mid-range HE spammer, and enough fuel smokes to constantly get yourself out of trouble if you find that you're getting too close. It's similar to the sort of Italian play style on this thing. The torpedoes, the Eskimo gets a faster reload, but in return the torpedoes are doing a little bit less damage. Still, you don't have an awful lot of them. You get 4 torpedoes, which you can single fire. So if you're lucky, you might get a permaflood, but it's not your main weapon of choice. The AA, just like on the Cossacks, completely absent. And the concealment, despite the fact that you actually have low hit point pool and that it's the same ship, is actually worse than on the Cossack. Let's have a look at the Akizuki, the Japanese tier 8 gunboat destroyer, which is an absolutely excellent ship. And we'll see in a minute why. So the Akizuki gets regular smoke screens, she also gets an engine boost, and she gets a torpedo reload. The Akizuki actually has some hit points to work with, and while she is not as fast or as maneuverable, these guns have a 3-second base reload. Yes, Terry, but they're only 100mm guns. They don't do nearly the same amount of damage. Yes, but you're HE spamming. You're not doing an awful lot of damage with the guns anyway. It's all about the fires. And while she only has a 3.5% fire chance, she has a less than half base reload with a longer range compared to the Eskimo with these 100 mils. So her effective fire chance is significantly better than what you get on the Eskimo. She also has Japanese torpedoes, which are noticeably better than what you have on the Eskimo, although they do take longer to reload, but that's what the reload booster is for. So you've got better guns and better torpedoes. You also have AA on the Akizuki, and you do have a relatively terrible surface detection. But still, it is more of a long-range HE spammer than what you have on the Eskimo. The Cossack was a bit of a novelty of a ship, just because she had the 6 fuel smokes to, get in and out of trouble. The Eskimo relies more on the engine boost and the rapid reload, but I don't feel like it compensates for that. Now, the guns are better than on the Cossack. The Cossack definitely has been power crept by ships like the French line, which have significantly better range, and sort of the Italians in some ways. But let's look through the setup, what we can do with this ship. You get really no choice here on the elite bonus. You want the main battery firing range, because that's really all you work with here. The historical camouflage, if we're putting it on, gives us more range, which is great, more torpedo range, which is great, max traverse speed and surface detection. So this is definitely worth investing the money for if you are planning on getting the ship. I don't know if there's an alternate camo. Yes, there is. There's a Union Jack camo, which looks sufficiently British and might be part of the Blitz pass. I haven't looked. This gives us hit points, range, speed, and torpedo speed. So this is the distinctly inferior camo, in my opinion. If you get it for free, you can use it. But if you want to play the ship in earnest, the historical camo has definitely the better stats here, in my opinion. And at least you get the main battery range, but you don't get the surface detection. And max speed is nice, but she ain't no French destroyer. Nowhere near. Setup-wise, the turret traverse, actually, I need to show you that. The turret traverse is not great. So even with the traverse module, we get her up to 14.4 degrees per second. So with a relatively maneuverable ship, as tempting as it is to get the main battery mod 2, I would not recommend it. The turrets are very, very vulnerable, and they turn dreadfully slowly. So having the turret traverse module is the better choice here. Other than that, obvious choices are propulsion and concealment. And with all of that and the historical camo and everything else, before supplies kick in, because that's only happening in battle, we get to a gun range of 9.3 kilometers, which is manageable. 4% fire chance, which is pretty decent, and a relatively decent amount of damage on the guns. The torpedoes are not bad. They reload reasonably quickly, but they're, again, not your main weapon. The AA is absent, and we've got the surface detection down to a very good 5.5 kilometers base. So, what do you want to set your commander up for this thing? I've, again, played 2 battles, as is usual. One without the historical camo, with regular consumables and with a regular commander, and one with the more premium commander here. Using Cunningham here, but in destroyers, I tend to go for the emergency response for steering and power system repair, because while it comes in not as frequently useful as, say, obviously the torpedo damage reduction, if you get yourself torpedoed in a destroyer, you're not most likely in trouble anyway. That's not going to make a big difference. But getting your engine shot off when your damage control's on cooldown can spell the end of the game for you. Given that we have no sonar, torpedo alert, and preheating is a no-brainer. On a normal commander, you would go for the victorious charge, but Cunningham has the Sixth Sense, which is very, very useful, especially in a destroyer that has a very low hit point pool. And given that she has a rapid reload, we can go with Fire Supremacy for an additional rapid reload, and then obviously the Master Reloader skill for the faster reload. It sounds like very dangerous to say, oh, it's an HE spammer with rapid reload. But it's not going to shave off an awful lot of time from your reload anyway. So it's not like it makes a huge difference, like on a battleship where you have a long reload. So taking 10% off your reload or something does make a noticeable difference. Whereas on a destroyer gun that fires with 6.6 seconds base or a little under, it doesn't make a huge difference in practice. He does get an interesting skill to do module damage, plus 100% module damage. So I'm taking that over the engine overload, especially that he only gets 2 engine boosts. And he does get a plane-related skill, which we obviously don't want. So armor-piercing cap shells if you're dealing with destroyers, because while they do good amounts of damage, the 120s do not have the best penetration out there. And Giant Hunter is no surprise here. I've decided to go down a red tree with the talents. So detecting 3 enemies gives you 3% main battery range, which again is great. We can once you destroy something, you get speed and turning speed, which again plays right into the maneuverability of this thing. And after 7 fires, you get better torpedo speed and better shell velocity. So things that you can do. That fit very well into the Eskimo. Now, as you might have heard from the inflection in my voice, I am not 100% convinced with this ship. Why is that? It is a ship with a relatively singular purpose. And that purpose is HE spam and try to set fires. The problem with that is obviously that she is a bit on the slow end. She does not quite have the range, and she does not have the fuel smokes to really play for the utility that you normally get with a ship like the Cossack. And as such, the playstyle is that makes her successful is becoming somewhat situational. The first round is a carrier battle. We are playing against Hiryu. We do have a Hiryu of our own. Hiryu, Borodino, Zeton, a Black Hipper, and a Z35 on the enemy team. Domination on Aurora. I am not aware of what the Black Hipper is capable of. The regular Hipper has sonar, so I don't know what she has. Maybe Def AA or something? I have no idea. I would have to look into it. Rapid reload, maybe. But that's the downside of black ships. Since I don't usually review them because they're too similar to the regular ones, I normally don't know what they're capable of. But anyway, it's German, it's dangerous, it's a cruiser. And given that I am the only destroyer on our team, leaves me with a little bit of a dilemma. Because you could say, oh yes, the ship is a long-range HE spammer, and you should just stay at range and spam HE. But you also need to play for cap control. Now there are 2 bots in the enemy team. We don't know when on which side, so we don't know where we're going to be running into bots. I've got a bot Harlem here with me, but I remember push into A cap simply because this is a relatively stealthy ship, unless of course the carrier comes my way. So let's hope that the carrier is not scouting my way. And it doesn't look like he is. He's waiting for the friendly carrier to do the scout. So we're doing the scout here, trying to probably get cap on A, see what we're up against. That is a Veneto and the Black Hippo, which of course it's not great. So let's see if we can stay undetected, get the ship turned around. And of course I got detected. Now I usually would have used my smoke here, my fuel smoke, but I don't have 6 of them. Still I am attracting a fair amount of attention here. That is a Hipper behind me. And even though the Veneto is a bot, you never know what's really going to happen. Hipper takes 4 torpedoes and has a flood. So he's lost sufficient amount of hit points. Rapid reload up, but I think he is sailing away at this point. And I can't give chase because, again, I'm trying to set a permafire maybe. But I'm being pushed by the bots here. We have already lost our Harlem, to nobody's great surprise. It was a bot. Bots always go down first. But this side here is where we're going to be fighting a delaying action, really. And there's a lot of fire incoming. Carrier is helping out here, which is nice. Shimanto probably going to go down, which just leaves the Vittorio Veneto. So if we can thin out the bots quickly, that would be grand. It's because we're 2 kills behind, and the enemy team is taking the capture circle. But I've got the Shimanto bot, and now we're just sailing away from the Veneto, trying to clear that up as well, potentially with the help from the carrier. Not sure what the rest of my team is doing on the other side of the map, however, but it's these kind of situations where you feel like, oh, having a fuel smoke, having more fuel smokes would be good. You do have to manage your hit points very, very carefully in the ship because you do not have a lot of them. Alright, Borodino has taken out the friendly Zeton. Borodino's on a roll here, so torpedoes out at the bot. And then we'll see if we can get rid of that Hipper over there. You obviously do have to open water gunboat most of the time, and we do need a capture circle. We're 2 kills. Okay, Talon takes out the enemy Z, so we're 1 kill behind, but we are a capture circle behind. And there's a Hipper at Zeton and a Borodino up there, and the carrier's coming in as well. So there goes my next fuel smoke. Because I am not going to sail broadside onto that lot, and we'll try to. I want to finish off the Hipper, but unfortunately the amount of opposition here is just too large. So torpedoes out at the Borodino. Zeton, the carrier's got Zeton under control here. So engine boost up and still see if I can get some shots out at the Hipper, but the Hipper wisely decides no. I'm just going to move. Borodino has slowed down, so has taken out the carrier. I was hoping that he wasn't paying attention, but that was the case. Now, he is faced with... We did have an Atlantico, so we should have won this game by default. But I think... there he comes, but he's on very low hit points. So I'm not sure he's going to survive that encounter with the Borodino, which is just going to leave me and a cruiser who's sailing around somewhere south of Sea Cap. So generally, the cap control... we haven't really managed to do much, and on our team side. And now I'm just trying to HE spam the Borodino while he is busy kicking the Atlantico to death, because everybody wants to kick an Atlantico to death. That's what you do with Atlanticos. Including myself, but he's on my team, so I can't. So Borodino it is. Borodino takes out Atlantico to nobody's great surprise, and that just leaves me and the cruiser. So we need that cap, and we need it now, and we need to get that Borodino killed. I am radar. I'm not sure if Borodino has radar. He is on low hit points, but now that pesky Hipper is coming back. So once again, I do have to be aggressive here, because I can't just run away and long-range HE spam, because we do not have the capture circles for that. And I do need to try and make something happen, and see if I can get myself turned around. That is probably Hipper sonar or radar what's picking me up here. But okay, now I'm outside of the range of whatever that was. Let's get another. Hipper has been running into my torpedoes before, so let's see if we learned something. I can't give enough. I can't turn enough to get the last torpedo away, because I do have to run away as quick as the little engine will carry, because I am the last ship alive. The enemy carrier is coming for me, and that's 3 torpedo hits on the Hipper. Maybe the 4th one would have done the trick. But I'm being shot at by a Hipper, I'm being attacked by a carrier. A carrier is going to force me broadside onto Hipper with the torpedo wing that I need to dodge here. And there's the Borodino out there as well. And with the minimal amount of hit points that the ship has from the start, I am very much not in a position to survive this. Hipper has switched to explosive, so he knows what he's doing as well. Actually, no, he switched to armor piercing again, which is too close for AP. Use HE, you overpanic. But a couple torpedoes away, maybe I can still crouch the Hipper, but Borodino sinks a shot into me, and that's basically it. And yeah, that's how games can go if the enemy team doesn't let you play to your strength. Your strength in the ship definitely is mid to long range. You do not quite have the range and the speed, so long range HE spam is nice if you have the option, but it's not always available just due to how the game is running. And then you have the same problem that you have in a ship like an Akizuki, because it is relatively specialized with the whole thing. The second round we're playing in base capture on Encounter, everybody's favorite map. Again, it's a carrier battle. Again, we're top tier against Ranger, double Vladivostok, Gneisenau, an Akizuki, a Fenyang, and a Xianyang. I can't quite remember what the Fenyang was capable of, but it is Pan-Asian, so it probably has deep water torpedoes. Wouldn't bet my ship on it, but the Xianyang definitely does. Anyway, yeah, carrier battles. If you are being shot at by or being attacked by a carrier, there's awfully little that you can do about it. You cannot really use your fuel smokes as liberally as you can on a Cossack, because you don't have as many of them. You don't have any AA, so you can't defend yourself in any way. So it is a game of being cautious a little. Now on Encounter, generally what we see on Encounter is lemming trains. So I'm going to sail up this flank here, just because I do want to get some scouting on in case the carrier doesn't scout, and I do want to delay anything that comes down this side here. Asking the friendly carrier possibly if he could do a fighter scout, but right now a friendly carrier does not seem to be doing much. In any case, yeah, I would love to have some intelligence if that would be possible, but not entirely certain what the carrier is doing, but he's definitely not coming my way. Alright, there is the first enemy battleship spotted. There's the Xianyang. Hello, Xianyang. Now, Xianyang has deep water torpedoes. He does have radar, so he can spot me relatively easily. He's dropped some torpedoes in his wake, but he can't torpedo me. However, there is a Vladivostok behind him, so I don't want to push any further in and chase after the Xianyang. All we want to do here is make sure that the Xianyang doesn't break through and torpedo our friendly battleship line. So let's push him away with torpedoes and use the armor piercing on him for a bit to do some damage, and then maybe we can get to our main purpose, which would be to HE spam that Vladivostok over there, because that's what we're really all about. Just need to get rid of the Xianyang first, and in a gunfight you're definitely going to lose that. So back to the high explosive. Now that Xianyang is on the run and has been showed the error of his ways. Vladivostok isn't paying any attention. He is going backwards, however. So his guns are looking the other way, so let's start setting him on fire. And this is where Damage control with single fire. Thank you. This is where the ship shines, just like the Cossack. So Vladivostok's not paying attention, so now it's time to try and go for the permafire and potentially for the permaflood. Observing with the torpedo what he's doing with the torpedo indicator, where he's going, what he's looking at. He seems to be reversing. Not quite entirely certain that he knows that I'm even here. So let's get some torpedoes away, but I think he is in the turn now. Defensive against the rest of my team has managed to sink the split, but is coming under a torpedo attack. There's the flood. There, I think split torpedoes. My own torpedoes are there, and that means he's probably down for it. Now, enemy Vladivostok had the HE loaded, has shot at me, and instantly taken half my hit points off because very squishy destroyer. So that was yet another instance where you do have to use the fuel smoke, get out of dodge, and then engage in a long-range gunnery, try to set fires, and try to duke the shots with your improved maneuverability. You can't rely on speed because you don't have any, like the French destroyers. And then again, they also don't get smoke screens. So all is fair in these kind of things. Now, I am unfortunately seeing a bit of a lag problem here, and that's not necessarily on my side. I've had this a couple of times recently. So might be a server issue. I'm not sure, but the last couple of salvos haven't really done much against the enemy Vladivostok. So now we're back and still doing what we're doing best, which is long-range HE spam. There's also the Gneisenau. And the rest of my team, Gneisenau has just taken out the Gascoigne. So now I'm all alone over here. The rest of my team is sitting at base. I'm not sure what they're doing over there. And now I am suddenly faced by a very angry Gneisenau, a ranger, and a Vladivostok. So let's drop torpedoes at the Gneisenau, fuel smoke up because I'm already out of hit points again, and get the heck out of dodge here while waiting for the rest of my team to maybe join the battle and come along with. So I've got 4 torpedo hits and a flood on the Gneisenau. Gneisenau Damacons the flood, so he's now the prime target for HE spam. Unfortunately, I am very much out of hit points and very much out of map over here. So I'm trying to keep the distance open. I'm trying to keep them occupied and in a bit of a crossfire with the friendly team. We're dead even on points. 2 minutes to go in the battle. That Vladivostok definitely needs to die. I've only one fuel smoke left, so I'm going to use it. Drop some torpedoes in the way of the Gneisenau. Vladivostok, unfortunately, is outside of my gun range, and I can't get any closer because the carrier is coming after me. Got lucky there. That could have been the end. Gneisenau still hasn't learned that I have torpedoes, and he's the only one targeting me at this point. So the only thing I can reasonably do is wear down that Gneisenau. No flood from the torpedoes, but he is on fire, and his Damacon does not seem to be active. Unfortunately, again, I have run out of map, so. But Gneisenau is on low HP, so triple fire. Unfortunately, now he Damacons, so I'm in reverse against the Gneisenau, and I just have to try and wiggle my way around this. He is no longer no, he's targeting me again. Okay, he's probably got torpedoes away if I had to guess, but Nebraska has taken out the Gneisenau. And that only leaves two destroyers. One of them is in our capture circle, but we have a friendly destroyer in the enemy cap as well. So I'm reasonably certain that we're in no danger of being capped out, because even if the enemy destroyer manages to sink our carrier, we're still going to be two kills ahead, and they are not going to manage to cap in time. So this battle is won. So, the Eskimo, just like the Cossack, it is a bit of a situational ship. The guns are better, obviously. The rest is pretty much the same. My big gripe with the ship is the scarcity of smoke screens, of fuel smokes. I would have loved to have just the fuel smoke one from the Cossack, but get 6 of them instead, because with the Mistweaver you can get the cooldown down relatively quickly, and again the value out of the fuel smoke 2 over fuel smoke 1 is really not that great. And it just really means that in the end, it is it's not as useful as it should be, in my opinion. Still, is it a great ship? It's a decent ship, I would say. You can have monster games in it, and that are very enjoyable. I would personally say for a pure HE spammer, I would still prefer the Akizuki because she's just in a league of her own in that regard. The Eskimo is a bit of everything, but she's not really the best at anything. It can be a very enjoyable ship to play, but if you are comfortable playing British destroyers, but like an extremely powerful ship, I would say it's not, but it can still be a fun ship at times when you have good games where you can make use of all your consumables. Personally, I would probably still prefer the Cossack over her, simply because of the fuel smokes, but if that's something you can live with and you feel or you don't have a Cossack and you would like to have a ship that is similar to the Cossack, then the Eskimo is definitely a good choice for that one. So that's that, and I wish you all a good day, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.